She smiles. It's close to our complex and the food's great. I come here all the time. Besides, you've been so exhausted lately. I didn't even have the heart to wake you up this morning. I'm ordering you the best steak they have. You need to recharge. Listening to this exchange, Serena's emotions are a hurricane. Fury burns inside her. Even though we've already broken up, deep in Serena's mind, she subconsciously still considers me her property and she can't stand anyone else touching what's hers. Seeing me walk side by side with Elise so intimately, talking about such personal things, makes Serena's blood rush to her head. Before she can stop herself, she blurts out, "Ray? What are you doing here?" Hearing someone call my name, I follow the voice and spot her sitting in the waiting area. Serena has clearly put a lot of effort into her appearance tonight. The Versace outfit she's wearing was a gift I once bought her. But compared to the Elise standing beside me, Serena's flashy makeup looks a bit overdone. In both looks and fashion sense, Elise has her outclassed. If Serena is a carefully styled socialite, then the Elise beside me is a princess born into grace. Looking at Serena, my feelings are complicated. 3 years together, and she dumped me over one ridiculous rumor. To say I feel nothing at all would be a lie. If I really had gone bankrupt, this moment would be unbearably awkward, maybe even bitter. But I'm not actually bankrupt, and with the massive fortune that oil futures are about to deliver, I have all the confidence in the world. My face shows nothing. I look at Serena and say coldly, "Didn't expect to run into you here. I'm just here for dinner." With that, I turn away from Serena, walking past her with Elise. Watching the man who used to do anything she asked now treat her with such cold indifference, eyes showing zero attachment. Walking beside another woman without a single glance back, Serena's fury explodes. She loses all composure, shoots to her feet, and blocks my path. I stop, frown at her, and say, "What do you want?" Honestly, Serena doesn't even know what she wants. Just seeing me and Elise standing together so perfectly matched fills her with rage. "Aren't you supposed to be bankrupt? How can you be so calm? You're bankrupt. Why is there another amazing woman by your side? Bankrupt men should be sleeping under bridges. Running into me again, shouldn't you be crying and begging for forgiveness?" Other people can't see the circus inside Serena's head. The waiter steps forward calmly, positioning himself between me and Serena, separating us both, and asks politely, "Miss, is there something I can help you with? If not, I need to escort our guests to their table." The restaurant is very quiet. The sudden burst of raised voices immediately draws the attention of nearby diners, all craning their necks to watch. Pinned by so many stares, Serena can't back down but doesn't want to slink away either. She fixes her gaze on me and says to the waiter, "Isn't Kirin Pavilion supposed to be the most upscale restaurant in Rongcheng? Don't you have a dress code? You're letting someone dressed like that eat in the same restaurant as me? Doesn't that bring down the whole experience? Because I left in a hurry and figured it was just a casual meal, I'm wearing simple loungewear with flip-flops on my feet. The look is extremely casual." Serena spotted my outfit and seized the chance to embarrass me, hoping to vent the irrational frustration boiling inside her. But hearing Serena's complaint, the waiter in front of me smiles politely and says, "Our philosophy at Kirin Pavilion is to serve our guests. The customer is king. As long as a guest's attire doesn't violate basic decency, everyone is welcome to dine at Kirin Pavilion." Then the waiter pauses, turns slightly, and bows respectfully toward Elise before continuing, "This gentleman is here with Miss Elise. And Miss Elise's mother is the owner of Kirin Pavilion, so any friend of Miss Elise is our most honored guest." Serena's face goes white, then green. She's mortified beyond words. Her ambush not only failed to embarrass me, but completely backfired. Even an ordinary waiter dared to shut her down that firmly in defense of his guest. The commotion keeps growing louder, drawing more and more attention from surrounding diners. Some have even pulled out their phones and started recording. Whispers ripple through the room. "Look at this. Soap opera drama. Looks like two women fighting over one guy. The guy's kinda handsome, but other than that he seems pretty ordinary." "Just kind of handsome? If you were half as good looking as him, I'd be over the moon." "Heh. If I were that handsome, other women would probably be fighting you for me." Listening to the increasingly ridiculous commentary, I let out a sigh and say, "Serena, our breakup is done. We're over. From now on, we stay out of each other's lives. This is a public place. Please have some dignity and stop blocking my way." With that, I put my arm around Elise's shoulders, shielding her behind me, and walk right past Serena's stunned face straight into the dining area. Serena stands alone at the entrance, like a clown performing her heart out to an audience that's already walked away. Feeling more and more eyes on her, Serena can't take it anymore. She stamps her foot in fury, doesn't go back to the waiting area, and storms out of Kirin Pavilion, swinging her handbag without looking back. Today, Serena was completely outclassed by Elise in every dimension, looks, presence, and fashion. She lost on every front. Then she made a scene, and nearly got thrown out by a waiter. No matter how thick her skin, Serena can't possibly stay and eat at Kirin Pavilion now. But what Serena doesn't see as she bolts out the door is that Tanya, her so-called best friend, her plastic bestie, had already followed me into Kirin Pavilion. In fact, Tanya had recorded the entire scene on her phone. A sly smile crosses her face as she clicks her heels and sachets after Serena. As for that little incident, I couldn't care less. In my heart, there isn't a single ripple left. After being thrown out on the street, I've seen Serena for who she truly is. Vain, disloyal, and the kind of woman who drops me the second things get hard. She doesn't deserve a shred of my feelings. The person truly worth my time and emotions is right in front of me, looking at me with nothing but concern in her eyes. Are you okay? Even though my expression is calm, Elise is still a little worried, afraid I'm just putting on a brave face. After all, I just broke up with Serena, and I was thrown out in the most humiliating way possible. Nobody could stay completely unfazed after that, but I'm not faking it. I've genuinely moved on. I smile at Elise and say, don't worry, I'm fine. In my heart, Serena is permanently in the past. A woman like her doesn't deserve the feelings I gave her. I just feel a bit sorry that I wasted so many years on someone like that. Hearing me say this, Elise relaxes and a secret thrill stirs in her chest. All these years, even though we barely kept in touch, Elise had been quietly watching me, silently crushing on me. That's exactly why the moment she found out I'd been thrown out, she was able to reach out instantly and invite me to move in. Now that I've completely let go of my feelings for Serena, doesn't that mean Elise's chance has finally arrived? Just as her heart is soaring, I speak up. Enough about her. Tell me about you. We haven't talked much since graduation. What have you been up to these past few years? Throughout college, maybe because of her quiet personality, Elise never really stood out. After graduation, she completely vanished from my social circle. I know nothing about what she's been up to. Yet in just a few years apart, the once unremarkable Elise now lives in Rongcheng's most exclusive complex and wears clothes worth a small fortune. It makes me genuinely curious about who she really is. After college, I went back for a 2-year master's degree and switched to law. Then I joined Deheng Law Firm and became a lawyer. Now I've just finished my probation period and I'm officially a full attorney. Listening to Elise's answer, I'm genuinely stunned. She says it like it's nothing, but I know it's far from simple. Deheng Law Firm is the largest firm in Rongcheng, maybe even the entire country. Its reputation is massive. For a fresh graduate to walk straight into Deheng is nearly impossible. You'd need years of experience at other firms, building a name for yourself, before you'd even have a shot at joining Deheng. After all, Deheng is where the most elite lawyers in the country gather. Behind many of the nation's most high-profile cases, you'll find Deheng's fingerprints. For Elise, a fresh graduate with zero experience, to walk right in after school, there can only be one explanation. Elise has serious connections. The legal profession demands more than just knowledge of the law. It requires social resources and relationships across every sector. Deheng recognized the power behind Elise's background and recruited her on the spot. But Elise doesn't elaborate on how she got in. Instead, she turns to me and asks, "What about you? What exactly is this project that made you sell your apartment and car to raise the money and got everyone saying you're bankrupt?" The food has arrived. I'm hungry, so I eat while I talk. The reason I sold everything is to make a play in international futures. You know that in futures trading, you need serious capital. Otherwise, you just get fleeced by the big players. Hearing my answer, surprise flashes across Elise's face. What? You sold your apartment and your car and put all the money into the futures market? Going all in on futures? That's insanely risky. Elise knows a thing or two about futures. Compared to the domestic stock market, international futures are far more volatile. The potential returns are higher, but risk and reward always go hand in hand. The bigger the reward, the bigger the risk. One wrong move and you lose everything. Your entire fortune, wiped out, gone without a trace. Facing Elise's shock and worry, I smile and explain, I'm trading international crude oil futures. As a major commodity, it's actually more stable. Compared to other futures, the risk is much lower. That crude oil futures carry relatively less risk is true, but compared to the stock market, the risk is still significantly higher. And I went in with 50 times leverage on top of that. If it weren't for the answer journal giving me insider knowledge and absolute certainty, a move this aggressive would be nothing short of financial suicide. You bought international crude oil futures? When did you buy in? Elise has been following international affairs and the oil market. After all, a world that's been at peace for decades suddenly erupting into a war of this scale was shocking news for everyone. Crude oil prices skyrocketing has been plastered across every news channel all day, every day. And I bought crude oil futures of all things. More importantly, if Elise remembers correctly, I sold my apartment and car before the war broke out. If before the war, I had already gone all in on international crude oil futures, then now, with crude oil prices exploding, I must have made an absolute killing. I don't hide anything about my investment. I tell her straight. I bought my crude oil futures before the war started, and when I bought in, I added 50 times leverage through a financial institution. Hearing this, Elise is completely floored. She stares at me, her rosy lips parting involuntarily. I not only dared to buy crude oil futures before the war, but on top of that, had the guts to stack 50 times leverage, a move that can only be called insane. And it's precisely this insanity that has brought me unimaginable returns. Elise's voice is actually trembling now, with 50 times leverage. How much was your starting capital? 4 million. Elise has been tracking crude oil price trends. A quick mental calculation gives her a rough number. Then your returns right now must be over 100 million? Even living in Rongcheng's finest complex, wearing a suit worth hundreds of thousands, Elise is still staggered by that number. 100 million. Sure, some billionaires jokingly call it just a small goal. But for the vast majority of people on this planet, it's an unreachable dream. And I did it in just a few days. To earn this kind of fortune so fast, to make an investment decision like that, what kind of confidence does it take? Looking at me across the table, radiating confidence, Elise feels her heart sway. It's as if my whole being is glowing. This is the man I, Elise, have been pining for all these years. A genuine smile spreads across Elise's face. She is truly, deeply happy for me. She raises her wine glass, tips it toward me and says, "This is incredible news. Ray, congratulations." I happily raise my glass and clink it gently against hers. "Thank you, and thank you for taking me in when I had nowhere to go." Elise shakes her head, smiling. "Oh, stop teasing me. You're worth over 100 million now. With that kind of money you could go anywhere. My net worth might be 9 figures, but all that money's tied up in the futures market. I can't exactly spend it. Honestly, when you called me I was flat broke. If you hadn't taken me in, I'd literally be sleeping on the street." Half serious, half joking, I continue, "This glass of wine, a toast with borrowed wine, to my savior. Cheers!" Elise bursts out laughing at my antics. "Cheers!" We raise our glasses and drink them down. After finishing half a glass of red wine, 2 rosy blushes bloom on Elise's fair, delicate face, giving her a slightly tipsy allure. She continues, "You've already made so much. When are you going to cash out?" "I'll wait a bit longer. As long as the war doesn't stop, oil prices still have room to climb." "What, now that you see I have a place to stay, you can't wait to kick me out?" Elise shakes her head frantically. "That's not what I meant at all. I'm not trying to make you leave. Just stay at my place as long as you want. Even forever is fine." The second the words leave her mouth, Elise realizes how that sounds. Her face turns even redder and she drops her head. Looking at how adorable she is, I burst out laughing, feeling the guilty pleasure of teasing a small animal. "I can't resist. Those are your words. You're stuck with me now. A place this nice? I'm seriously staying forever." Hearing my half-joking, half-serious words, Elise suddenly lifts her face, eyes sparkling with something deeper, and summons all her courage. "Deal!" Over the next 2 weeks, or so, I stay almost exclusively at Elise's place, monitoring the international situation and crude oil price movements. As the war situation gradually becomes clearer, international crude oil futures prices stabilize, exactly as the Answered Journal predicted. Crude oil has now hit $150 a barrel, oscillating steadily around that mark. According to the journal, $150 is the near-term peak. Soon, prices will hit an inflection point and begin a steady decline. But because of information asymmetry, most investors can't accurately gauge the trend and are still frantically buying in. Meanwhile, the national funds and major institutions with insider knowledge are unloading their stockpiled futures in waves. One side buying, the other selling. Push and pull. That's why crude oil has plateaued around 150. Looks like it's time to sell my futures and turn them into cold hard cash. Seeing how things are playing out, I immediately decide to liquidate every last barrel of crude oil futures in my account and sell them all. From a personal standpoint, my futures holdings are massive, and converting them to cash would be a staggering fortune. But crude oil futures are such an enormous market that even when I dump everything I own onto the exchange in one go, it barely makes a ripple. The market swallows it whole. With every last contract sold, my futures holdings drop to 0, and my account balance now reads 1 billion and 20 million. In less than 1 month, my assets have gone from the 4 million I scraped together by selling my apartment and car to over 1 billion. Even though before actually cashing out, I had already calculated my potential returns 1,000 times over, the moment this money is truly, actually sitting in my account, I'm beyond ecstatic. It takes a long time for my racing heart to settle. Right now, I'm not just savoring the thrill of this massive windfall. I'm also marveling at the sheer power of the Answer Journal my descendants sent back from the future. Just one single page made me a billion. It makes me even more eager to discover what surprises the remaining pages will bring. Next, following the same route I used to move the funds out in the first place, and after paying a sizable processing fee, I transfer this enormous sum back into my personal account. Seeing that long string of digits in my phone's notification, my heart finally truly settles. The dust has finally settled. Now it's time to enjoy the rewards. My old apartment can't be bought back for now, and I have no intention of getting it back anyway. With $1 billion to my name, if I'm buying a place, it has to be a mansion. Kirin Tower is pretty nice actually. At least a 300 square meter penthouse flat. And not having a car is inconvenient. The old 100,000 yuan commuter car doesn't cut it anymore. If I'm buying a car, it starts at the million yuan luxury tier. Fine cars are every man's eternal pursuit. When you mention luxury cars, most people immediately think of Lamborghini, Pagani, Ferrari, and other top-tier supercars. These machines cost a fortune, easily several million each. The second one appears on the road, every head turns. The ultimate tool for turning heads on the street. But in everyday life, spotting one of these supercars on the road is extremely rare. On one hand, these top-tier sports cars are simply too expensive for ordinary people to afford. On the other hand, supercar ground clearance is absurdly low, demanding perfect road conditions. For roads packed with speed bumps like ours, they're completely impractical. Drive one of these cars over a single speed bump at any decent speed and the undercarriage gets shredded, straight back to the shop. And a while back, I once drove a friend's Lamborghini Huracan. In sharp contrast to the car's jaw-dropping exterior is the impossibly cramped cabin. A regular family car is perfectly comfortable. If the driver's seat feels off, you just adjust the seat and backrest. But to drive a Lamborghini Huracan, you're practically lying half flat in the cockpit. Not only is the space tiny, the comfort is non-existent. This is the sacrifice supercars make for aerodynamic design and raw performance. So in my opinion, driving these supercars in daily life is unbearable. It's pure suffering. Even now, with $1 billion to my name, I have no intention of buying these cars that only exist in legend. The brand I have my eye on is Bentley. As one of the world's most elite automakers, Bentley's prestige is every bit the equal of Ferrari and Lamborghini. And when it comes to comfort, Bentley absolutely destroys every supercar on the market. And the most iconic model of all is undoubtedly the Bentley Continental GT. Even before I got the answer journal from the future, I had always dreamed of owning one. Now, with $1 billion in the bank, I don't hesitate for a second. I pull out my phone, scroll to a contact saved as Big Lou, and call. The line connects, and a man's voice booms. "Ray, what made you think of yours truly today? What can I do for you?" The voice belongs to Lou, whose real name is Lou Say. Because of his hefty build, everyone who knows him calls him Big Lou. He doesn't mind the nickname at all. In fact, it stuck fast. The reason I know Big Lou is through Devin's introduction. Big Lou and Devin are both in the used car business. Sourcing luxury vehicles for clients is well within either of their capabilities. Back when Devin and I used to go out for dinners and drinks, we'd often bring Big Lou along, so he and I are well acquainted. Big Lou is actually a few years older than me, but as a businessman who believes courtesy is good for business, no matter who he's talking to, Big Lou is always polite. And with me, despite being younger, he always calls me Ray with full respect. "Big Lou, you still in the car game? I've got my eye on something. Can you track it down for me?" As a world-class automaker, Bentley has very few dealerships in mainland China, only in a handful of major cities like Beijing and Shanghai. Rongcheng doesn't have an official Bentley dealership. To buy a Bentley Continental, I either travel to another city myself or find a reliable buyer. On the other end of the line, Big Lou clearly hesitates for a moment, then keeps his tone warm. "Sure thing. If Ray's asking, that means you trust me. Big Lou's got you covered, no question." But then he pauses and continues. "Aren't you and Devin tight? How come you're coming to me instead of him? If he finds out, won't he blame me?" I chuckle. "Devin? That deadbeat is no friend of mine. Forget him. Bad luck even mentioning him. Big Lou, I want to buy a Bentley Continental GT. You got the connections to get me the latest model?" Hearing this, Big Lou does a double take. "Whoa. A Bentley Continental GT? That's a serious machine. The base model alone is over $3 million. The GT version runs close to $5 million. Ray, did you hit a jackpot or something? But just the other day I heard your finances took a hit. Now you're here buying a Bentley Continental? Isn't that a little premature?" Big Lou phrases it diplomatically, but I can hear exactly what he really means. "I heard you went bankrupt. A 5 million yuan Bentley? You can't afford that. Don't make me run around only to find out at pickup that you can't pay. That wouldn't be funny." I smile, not the least bit offended by Big Lou's doubts. "Did you hear from Devin that I'm bankrupt? That's just a rumor he's been spreading. Big Lou, I'm not messing around. How about this? Give me a bank account number. I'll wire you $500,000 as a deposit. Go find the car with peace of mind. If you find it and I don't buy it, that $500,000 is yours as a finder's fee. Deal?" Big Lou perks up instantly. "Ray, what are you saying? We don't need a deposit between us. But since you already offered, turning it down would be disrespectful. I'll send you a bank account number shortly. Transfer the money whenever you're ready. I'll get on the phone with Bentley and guarantee you the latest fully loaded Bentley Continental GT." Hearing me offer $500,000 up front, Big Lou's tone on the phone immediately heats up several degrees. After all, he's a businessman. He's heard every rumor under the sun, and most of them are just noise. Whether I'm bankrupt or not has absolutely nothing to do with Big Lou. As long as I can put up the cash and buy a Bentley Continental through him, then I'm his client, his king. After hanging up, I immediately wire $500,000 to the account Big Lou sent over. My balance barely budges. Just a rounding error off a rounding error. You really can't imagine how good it feels to be rich. Shaking